Hello again and welcome to part 3 of Bad Dad by David Walliams. Chapter 6. The Smell of Old Books. Auntie Flip wasn't Frank's aunt. She was Dad's aunt. Flip was short for Philippa, and she prided herself on being from the posh side of the family, even though there wasn't one. The lady had the smell of old books about her. This is probably because she was a librarian. Auntie Flip wore glasses with glass thicker than a shark's tank. Her idea of an evening's entertainment was to bring a stack of her own unpublished poetry books over and read them out loud to the boy. Auntie Flip had written many volumes of poetry. Poems for the older lady, more poems for the older lady. That's enough poems for the older lady now. Sorry, one last volume of poems for the older lady. Frank hated poetry. Flip would read him her poems about the clouds and gooseberries and rainy days and birdsong and talcum powder. For Frank, listening to them was torture. That night, the boy was annoyed that he was left alone with the woman while his dad was out for his really exciting top-secret, couldn't even tell his own son meeting. Doing what he was told, Frank put his pyjamas on and then popped his head round the door of the living room. "Good night, Auntie Flip," he said quickly before turning to go. "Not yet it isn't," chirped the lady. Sorry? "As a very special treat, young man, I'm going to let you stay up late." "Cool!" exclaimed the boy. "Yes, you can stay up late so I can read you some of my poetry." This was definitely not cool. "I know how much you like it," she said. I'm really tired," lied Frank, pretending to yawn. And he stretched out his arms for good measure. "You won't be in a minute, young man, because I have a surprise for you. Do you like surprises?" It depends. What is it?" "If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise," replied Auntie Flip. The boy thought for a moment. "Is it a poetry-based surprise?" "Yes. How did you guess?" "It was just a wild guess," sighed Frank. The lady clicked open her handbag and took out her leather-bound notebook. She held it in her hands as if it was a holy relic. Carefully, she turned the first page. "The first one this evening is a poem I wrote about you, Frank." Somehow, the thought of a poem about himself made Frank squirm. It was a similar feeling of unease as the time when Frank ate some sausages in the school canteen that hadn't been cooked properly, and he had to run to the toilet as he could feel his bottom was about to explode. Auntie Flip started making strange sounds with her mouth. It was like the noise of a braying horse. "Nay, nay." Next she began to make humming noises in an ear-achingly high-pitched tone. It was like someone running their fingers along the rim of a glass. Frank put his fingers in his ears. Is this the poem?" he shouted over the din. Flip looked at the boy as if he was bonkers. "No, I'm just warming up my voice. Right, I am ready. This one is entitled Simply Frank, and it is by me. My lovely little Frank, I want to say thank you for being you, the super-duper son of my only nephew. You are a boy who spreads joy like a butterfly who dances on the breeze, or a hummingbird singing in the trees, or a dolphin leaping through the sea, or a bee buzzing with another bee. You bring happiness to my heart like a freshly baked apple tart with lashings of piping hot custard. Much nicer than adding some mustard. I know it's strange to mustard, but it's the only thing that rhymes with custard. Please, oh Frank, don't ever get old. Stay forever young and bold. And so my poem draws to a close. One last thing, don't pick your nose." The lady's eyes were glistening with tears at the sheer beauty of her own poem. "Well?" she asked through sniffs. Her eyes searched Frank's face for approval. Well, what?" asked the boy. "Well, what did you think of your special poem?" I thought the poem was very, Yes?" Frank was old enough to know that sometimes you have to tell a little lie to save other people's feelings. Poetic. It was a very poetic poem. The lady was overjoyed. Thank you so much. That is high praise. Any poet wants their poems to be poetic. So 1 down, 99 to go. I need to go to bed. Are you sure? Absolutely, I need to go to bed right now. Okay, well, how about I read to you A Love of Mauve? I would like to hear it, but... Oh, some lines on my foot cheese. No, I really couldn't. Oh, you're going to adore Ode to a Puddle. Plop, plop, plop. The rain goes plop. No. No. The lady looked hurt. What do you mean, no? I mean... Thank you, but no. I just feel so emotional after listening to that beautiful one you wrote about me. Auntie Flip nodded her head. Oh, of course, I forgot the raw power of my verse. I bid you good night. The lady opened her arms to give the boy a hug. Reluctantly, the boy paced towards her. She also squeezed him too tight. Said Frank, as he could feel the air being squashed out of him. Oh, sorry, said Auntie Flip. I'm not good with hugs. The lady had never been married, nor to Frank's knowledge ever had a romance. He guessed she hadn't had many hugs in her life. Good night, said the boy. I'm off to sleep now. That was another lie. A big lie. Chapter 7. Death by Poetry. Escaping from the flat was something Frank had done many times before. Years ago, Frank would sneak past his mum every Saturday night to go to watch his father race. Back then it was easy. Frank would prop up his pillows on his bed under the duvet. That way, if mum bothered to get off the phone and poke her head round the door, she would think her son was lying there fast asleep. Now there was no pillows, duvet, or indeed bed. Since the hard-faced men had come, the boy had slept on an old lilo that always deflated during the night, like a long, slow trump. Frank had to come up with a new plan, and fast. If he was forced to listen to one more of Auntie Flip's poems, there was a very real danger he would spontaneously combust. The boy made a life-size dummy of himself by stuffing scrunched-up newspapers into some old pyjamas. Next he placed the dummy on top of his lilo. Finally, Frank had to pick his moment to make his escape through the front door. From his bedroom he could hear the "Surprise, surprise!" Auntie Flip was composing a new poem in the living room. She was reciting it out loud as she wrote. Oh, tall proud tree, I see so much of you in me, although I don't have leaves, or branches for that matter, and I am not made of wood, but other than that I could be a tree. Oh, yes, I don't have bark. Oh, dear me, no. Let me start again. Oh, tall, proud tree. The living room was at the end of the hall, so there was every chance Auntie Flip would see Frank if he tried to make a dash for the front door. After a short while, the boy could hear the lady shuffle down the corridor. This was his chance. Frank opened his bedroom door a tiny bit and put his eyeball to the crack. Auntie Flip was closing the toilet door behind her. Oh, no, the debt collectors have taken the loo seat too, Frank heard her exclaim. I'll have to hover. There was no way of Frank knowing if it was a number 1 or number 2. How could he know? Such a thing was a private matter between Auntie Flip and Auntie Flip's bottom. A number 2 could take a long time, for some people hours, even days, whereas a number 1 could be over in seconds. So Frank scuttled across the floorboards as fast as he could. The hard-faced men had taken the carpet too. Towards the front door, there he planned to wait for the noise of the flush to cover his escape. Disaster! The toilet door opened again. Click! I don't believe it. No loo roll, muttered Auntie Flip to herself. Frank was crouched in the hallway, but scuttled back to his bedroom just in time. With her bloomers still round her ankles, Auntie Flip scampered sideways like a crab back to the living room. Now, which poem can I sacrifice? She asked herself. They're all masterpieces. Let me see. Oh, yes, Ode to a Poached Egg can go. The boy then heard a page being torn out of a book. Rip! Flip then scuttled back to the toilet and closed the door. Click! Frank crawled back to the front door and waited for the sound of the toilet flush. Clunk! Flip pulled the chain, but nothing happened. Clunk! Again nothing. Clunk! Clunk! Oh, goodness me, the chain snapped, she exclaimed. The boy then heard effort noises coming from behind the toilet door. Oh, I'll just have to hook my bloomers over the lever. Flush. Success! Frank opened the front door and shut it behind him as quietly as he could. Clunk. The lift was always broken in the block of flats, which was a pain when you lived on the 96th floor. Fortunately, Frank had devised a cool way of getting down the seemingly endless staircase. He'd found an old laundry basket, and with felt-tip pens had painted it with the colours of Queenie, red, white and blue. All he had to do was sit on top of the staircase and then let gravity take its course. Whoosh! Anyway, that's the end of part 3. Thank you for listening. I hope you've been enjoying Bad Dad. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps to support the channel. Thank you, and I'll see you again next time for part 4. Bye.